Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? Let's move this over a little bit. Um, Today we have a very special guest, Jordan Anderson. He had come on here before. Unfortunately, some of my gear wasn't working that day, and we kind of lost all of it. Was not cool, but we did decide to do a reshoot, and today is that reshoot. Where's the camera? Right there. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I do. He told me some amazing stories. He has a really, really great outlook on life in general. So I'm really looking forward to this. Don't mind my hair. Doop, 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 doop. Look at that. I got this right here falling off of a car when I was, damn, how old was I? 14 or 15. Yeah, I've had that right there. I was on the back of a car. We were being reckless as kids normally are, you know. Um, but it was I don't know, I didn't die, so there's that. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was kind of well, it's right there. That's so cool. It's still there. I mean, it's probably never gonna go away. I was 14 years old though. I was like forever ago. But let's get on with the sponsors. Number one, I want to give a shout out to RBJJ. It's Rodriguez BJJ in Peru, Illinois. If you want to learn, if you want your kids to learn, if you want your whole family to go learn from some of the best around, I suggest Rodriguez BJJ out in the Peru Mall. They're super knowledgeable. The owner, Daniel Rodriguez, is very accomplished. I actually have a interview with him that I've yet to release because my phone doesn't allow me because it's too big of a interview. It was like I don't even know how long, but apparently it's too long for me to post a pre-recorded segment. So I gotta wait until I get a computer to do that. But a very, very great interview, and I cannot wait to release it for you all to see. It's going to be it's one of my most anticipated ones. Um, Make sure you go see him, check him out. Rodriguez BJJ. You can look him up on Facebook. Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's in the Peru Mall. It's not too far from us, and it's the best quality. I would say the best knowledge that you can get around here in this area by a long shot, by a very, very long shot. Number two, I want to give a shout out to Lucas Too Strong Waltney. He is the former middleweight champion over at PFC, relinquishing his belt by taking a knee and standing up for his teammate. It was a whole ordeal, but it's all over with now. Things will be up and running again with Team Too Strong representing or going down to PFC, and I don't know. I think it's going to be a cleaning house kind of situation, but who knows? Who knows what happens? Obviously, it's a fight game. Anything can happen, but I'm always with Team Too Strong at all times. No, third person I want to give a shout out to, I guess not third person, but third people I want to give a shout out to is DJ Slim. That is 815-257-2601. If you want any and all kinds of entertainment, we got your back. We can either DJ, we can do karaoke, I can do live performances, we can do them for your wedding, your bar mitzvah, your birthdays, whatever you want, whatever you need, we got your back. DJ Slim, make sure you hit him up. I've been working with him for a very, very long time. He's a great guy, great gentleman, wonderful energy, and I've known him since I was like yay tall. Real cool cat. That's DJ Slim at 815-257-2601. The next shout out I want to give a shout out to is the Hard Rock Radio Network. They do a live broadcast usually every Saturday at 7 p.m. It's called the Weekend Work Release Program. They run from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it's just a real fun time. You can hit them up at 815-495-5070. Again, that's 815-495-5070. If you want to join the broadcast stream while they're on, and you can even suggest songs and text them. You can call them. You can shoot the shit with them, whatever you want at 815-495-5070. It's a Hard Rock Radio Network, HRRNrocks.com. They're a bunch of cool guys. They're actually the ones that got me into podcasting, so I owe them a bunch, and I always try to give them a shout out, of course. Hey, what's up, Tina? How you doing? Tina is an avid listener. Thank you for joining the broadcast, Tina. Oh, dang, my camera just went whoop, whoop. I wonder what that was about. Let's see. Anyway, so the next person I want to give a shout out to is okay, cool. I got it. Allie, Ann's, and Dwight. I go out there and I perform usually about once a month is usually what I'm going for out there. It's a really fun time. They're a really great place. I love being around that energy. And the bar itself is really, really cool. I really, really dig it. They treat me well. They treat the customers well. The food is great. The drinks are awesomely priced. It's just an all around good time. And I think that's it for shout outs. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I apologize. Let's see. Let me think. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. Robert Bryant at PFC. Want to give a shout out to him as well. He's doing a great thing out there. His organization is doing the best they can to take the problems off the streets and put them inside the ring so they can settle all their differences in a controlled environment. You know, if you want to settle your beef, throw hands. Put some gloves on, throw hands. It'll be it's a great time when you go out there. I go with Team Two Strong. They're, like I said, I'm pro Team Two Strong probably all day. I shouldn't be biased, but I am biased. I am very biased when it comes to Team Two Strong. But you know, for the most part, I shouldn't be. But they're either way. You know, over at PFC, they have a great group of people over there running it. They do their best to make sure that everything turns out right. Yeah, sometimes there are some things that happen, like brawls break out and all that stuff. But for the most part, it's a really good environment. PFC, make sure you check them out. This Peoria Fight Club. They're usually at Club Truth in Bartonville. Also awesome place. All right, so time to bring on our guest. Today's guest is the always amazing gentleman, Jordan Anderson. I like his name. Welcome to the stream. What is up, brother?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me back.
Not a problem, man. Like, I super apologize for the way things turned out last time.
No need. That was fun. It was fun, and we get to do it again. And since it's been like a couple weeks, it won't be like having the same conversation, the same hour-long conversation twice in a row.
Yeah, for sure, man. I like I said, I apologize for that. I should have checked my stuff beforehand, but I'm still new to this, so you know I'm still working the kinks out on my end as well.
But
how's your day today, my man?
Pretty good. Just another beautiful day. Working hard, and it's cold out. I got my heater on.
Isn't that weird? Dude, I woke up today. I walked outside. I was like, "Why is it cold, man?" It was just balls hot the other day.
Yeah, going from AC one day to heater the next.
Right. That was Tony Byros saying live from Utica.
Yes, that's right.
Another cool cat from the area. So to those people who actually everyone didn't hear the last broadcast, but why don't you give us a little backstory on who you are, where you come from, and we'll work from there.
Yeah, my name is Jordan. I'm a Streeter boy, Streeter Bulldog. Grew up, that's right, and grew up in Streeter. Centennial School Eagle, North Lawn Panther, Streeter Bulldog. I live in Utica. Play bass, upright bass in a country western band called Manny and the OK Boys. Trained jiu-jitsu for a long time, and I trained with Danny Rodriguez in Peru, Illinois. And besides jiu-jitsu and playing music, that's my hobbies, you know. And I'm a butcher for rent. Like I pay my rent by, you know, deconstructing animals and packaging them up for delicious meals for your family and friends to enjoy. So I take pride in that a little bit.
You should, man. I've seen obviously a bunch of your videos that you post up about you taking them, getting them, skinning them, and I don't think I've seen you package them, but for sure I've seen the process and you do it. It's honestly pretty cool, man. It's really cool to watch. I think you should definitely put more videos up like that.
Yeah, once you start doing that stuff, you don't look at roadkill the same way again.
Yeah.
You gotta sometimes check it out. See, especially in the winter, if something's fresh, it might be worth harvesting.
That's so awesome, dude.
But you can't
Oh
tell.
man.
You can't tell. Like you can't have people over and let them know where did you hunt this deer. It's like, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Eat
Yeah, it's
it.
good.
So, how did you get into that? Into that side of your life?
Well, I worked in the wine industry for 5 years, and I got laid off during COVID because nobody
Oof.
could have in no they pretty much shut the business down, and the company had to lay off a lot of people. And I have asthma, and at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like they were saying, like the government and the media were saying, if you have asthma, you could be in like real danger. And so I didn't want to work with the public. I was really scared, and the company was really nice enough to be like, "Hey, we'll just lay you off." Well, then after like a month or two went by, it's like I live alone. I got really lonely, and I saw an ad on Facebook that was like, "We need meat cutters in Ottawa," and I was like, "Shoot!" I kind of was always I was like hunting and fishing and stuff, and I was like, "That's kind of an old time skill that I would like to learn, even if I don't do it forever." It's a pretty cool thing I want to learn how to do. So I interviewed and they hired me. I've been there for over a year. So
Dude, that's awesome. What a hell of a way to walk into that.
you never know. You never know what 5 years ago I wouldn't think I would be doing it, but you just never know where life's going to take you.
It's true. And I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I feel like Corona really reset a lot of things in life in general. Like before Corona, I would have never even thought about getting a job at all. But now I got a house and a job, and I love them both. You know, I work as a
Awesome.
maintenance manager for an elderly community, and it's so
Fantastic.
satisfying.
That's awesome. I bet that's really rewarding, helping people out and keeping everything going good.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. But like I said, yeah, it just seemed like it was a reset, and man, I'm glad it happened. I mean, it
Yeah.
sucks. Don't get me wrong, like the whole thing sucked, but I felt like so much good came out of it.
Well, yeah, it seems like that you kind of had two choices. You're either going to make some good improvements and like kind of reset. And, you know, I don't go out to the bars very much anyway. I like to do my partying at home or, at a friend's house. But for a lot of people who are just like in the same routines of like go get off work, go to the bar, maybe it was good to take a step back for a lot of people. And I know other people, they say like binge drinking and stuff went up during COVID, but it's almost like kind of like two paths. You either were like you take advantage of this reset to do things that were going to be healthier, like people are exercising, or people who weren't exercising started exercising, people who weren't losing weight who needed to started, or you could just kind of go the other way and just be like, now I have a reason to eat more junk food and not do anything. Like, but I think over the people who I know, it seems like everybody went towards that positive health and wellness productivity route, which is awesome.
I definitely felt that during the whole shutdown. I mean, because people couldn't go to the bars. Obviously, it sucked for me because like I play in bars, so like
Exactly.
it really like sucked my funds right out the window.
Yeah,
But
and
it
that
did help.
sucks,
It,
man.
it did help a lot of people. I mean, I had a couple friends who like to drink a lot, and then once the pandemic hit, like a month into it, they were like, "Man, I'm saving a lot of money." They noticed a big jump in their like. Obviously, they're getting paid the same, but man, their bank accounts got fat.
Exactly. Where'd all that money come from? It's like,
The
yeah,
lack of
and
drinking, the lack of going out and eating,
and
just
we
just
want to support restaurants and stuff, and I think a lot of people did the carry out, but also if you're cooking more, the money's piling up because what can cost you $5 to cook at home might cost you $25 at a restaurant, and it shouldn't
yeah.
that much because other people are doing the work for you. But if you don't do it every day, the money just like you're like, whoa, hey, I make a better living than I thought I did. It's really like spending habits, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I do want to ask you when the corona hit. Obviously, you were training jujitsu beforehand. When did it come back? When did everyone decide? You know what? Let's go at it. Let's start training again.
A lot of people, they didn't ever stop.
Nice.
So the gym got shut down. You know, the mall was closed. Like you're not allowed to go in there. So the guys took mats and had wrestling mats. See, we were training in Danny's basement. Danny was training people in his basement before he got his first gym. Like the first gym, it says basement. And so when the storefront gym got shut down, jiu-jitsu just moved back into the basement. It just went back underground. It didn't go away. So I just shared that.
Found a way.
Yeah, one of those Facebook things popped up like 1 year ago, and it's a good picture of like 10 or more like really tough guys in Danny's basement from a year ago. And I remember like pulling up to Danny's house, and we all kind of pull up at the same time, and all these like big bad looking dudes are all getting out and like walking up to this house, and I was like, what are the neighbors thinking going on right now?
Right. Ooh.
Like the neighborhood militia is organizing.
That's awesome, dude. That would have been a cool picture to have, just like everyone just walking up at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roll out.
Imagine if we got the wrong address. Some people are like looking out their window.
For real, right? Oh, that'd be hilarious, dude. Damn. Oh shit. I gotta see that picture, man. Did you share it today?
I don't know. If you look at my like wall, my Facebook profile, it should be like I don't know if I posted since then, but yeah, there's really cool guys. And you look at a picture of people who you were training with a year ago, and it's like there's a few people that I miss because they're not training anymore. And it's like, if you're out there listening to this and you know that you're in the picture and you're not training, we miss you. Please come back. You're good. You're all good. So
it's a roll call. It's a roll call. Calling you out, man. Hey, I need to make it out there too, to be honest.
No doubt.
I do. Yeah. Well, my truck broke down, so it's like I'm trying to get a friend to go over there and sign up so I can ride it with him back and forth. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You can do it. Well, that's what I had to do it seems like when I first started training, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a license. I lived in Streator and was training in Ottawa. And so I was scared to go. Like the first time I was just scared because I knew these are all like highly skilled pro fighters, and I had like no background. And so I had to go to like all my tough friends and all the strong guys I knew and be like, hey, you want to go, here? And,
right.
And part of it was just to have that like backup or something, like, but part of it was also like I need a ride. So
right. Well, definitely you need like moral support if you've never been and it scares you,
Totally.
For sure. Like I remember the first time I went training somewhere that did the same thing. I told my little brother, I was like, hey man, you want to go learn karate? And he's like, yeah, let's go. I was like, cool. So like now I got this like big brother energy, instead of being like, fuck, I'm getting my ass beat.
Yeah.
Now I gotta be like, all right, I can't get my ass beat because my little brother's here. But yeah, same thing, man.
How long did you train karate?
Oh, not long, dude. I think it was only like a year and a half in Chicago.
Oh, that's cool though.
It was fun, but it wasn't what I expected. Because like I had this, I was like what, like 11 years old, 10 years old, something like that.
Perfect.
So like I had this idea, because you're watching all these movies and you think it's gonna make a at all times, but
yeah.
like starting off super slow and basic, just getting your stance and then do the ha. Ha! Ha! And I'm like, when are we gonna fight?
I hear you. Definitely.
Yeah, but it wasn't what I expected, but at the same time, it was really fun, and I'm glad I did it anyway.
Yeah, especially for 10 or 11-year-old. So, you know, it's not like they should have let you spar. They should have let you spar on the first day. I really think they should have. But yeah.
You know, they didn't let us spar for like I want to say it was like, yeah, I want to say it was like 2 months. I was gonna say 2 sessions, but I went there like once a week. But yeah, they didn't let me spar for like 2 months, man. It was like, well, what the fuck? And then like when we sparred, it was just real bad. And then like as I got older, I realized that the dude just didn't know what he was doing. It looked like he was just like trying to get money from people. Like he didn't really all he did was like teach us katas, but like we didn't really learn much. Like I would never tell people like I learned karate. I just went to karate classes.
Right. Well, I'm sure it takes a long time, like anything else. Hey, before we get too involved in a conversation, let me can I qualify myself for the people listening? Maybe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I started training grappling for mixed martial arts, and at the time they didn't even call it mixed martial arts; they called it NHB, no holds barred.
Barred.
Yes. In 2002, it was in the end of April 2002, and with Jeff Snyder's at Ottawa Nautilus. At the time, he owned it, and I trained there until I went to college just for a year and a half before I dropped out in Eureka, Illinois, and I was training at Peoria Athletic Club, and that's when I put the gi on, trained traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu, with the belt system and that. And then once I dropped out of college, came back training and teaching in Ottawa because Jeff had gotten a different job actually in Streeter. And between the time of 2003 and 2005, I had 6 professional fights, 2 wins, 4 losses. So, I wasn't a great fighter, but I had great experiences.
Yeah, you still got in there, man.
Ever since then, it's when I first started, it was like, I just want to learn. I never thought I would fight. And then you get to training and you start to develop skills, and then you want to test the skills against people who are really good. And then you'll be at a fight just like supporting your friend, and then they're like, hey, you want to fight tonight? And it's like, sure, I'm ready. I'm always, you have fighters attitude or mindset. But really for like pretty much my whole adult life, I've been it's just been a hobby that I'm in love with. And I asked to come on here because I want to encourage people to come out to the gym and let you know that it's a really safe environment. It's clean. It's fun. The guys are really fun, really funny. There's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of laughs, and a lot of hard work. And it's a really tough hobby. It's a tough sport. We have guys like Danny Rodriguez, world champion competitor. He won his division in the 2018 International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation no-gi gold medal. He's on the U.S. grappling team, gets to compete in all sorts of countries. I don't even want to try to pronounce them because it's like those areas of the world that you'd never go to. Like you'd probably never want to. Most people from LaSalle County wouldn't go, you know where I want to go? I want to go to Belarus for vacation. It's like, I've never even heard of that until he went there, or these different Kazakhstan type of, Dagestan type of named countries. But it's really, really cool. But we have, so from a world-class competitor to people with professional MMA experience, there's probably, there's Luke, there's Tommy, there's myself, there's a bunch of people who had pro fights back in the day, current amateur fighters, current hungry young guys who are getting after it and who have big dreams and goals that we're going to help, we're going to see them do it, and they're going to do it.
Shout out to Sel and Quentin for sure.
That's right. And then there's people who are just there for a hobby, and you can tell it's like they're not the athletic, they're not the athletes, they're not the great wrestlers that come in. They're just kind of people more like me who they were drawn to it. It was appealing. Maybe it was the martial arts movies as a kid. Maybe it was just they had a natural, they just liked it. Or they're worried about self-defense. Maybe they see people get beat up. Like, you're from Streeter. How many fights have you seen in your life? Probably more than 20.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in high school before I started training, I had several people who were like over 18 saying that they're going to beat me up when I turn 18 because I have a little bit of a sharp tongue. I have a really sharp tongue. And they didn't like it. If I felt like they were doing something I didn't like, it's like they might hear about it and like, hey, I don't like. Well, they don't like. Young men don't like being scolded by younger men, and they're adolescents, you know. But you also don't want to be an 18-year-old beating up a 16-year-old. So luckily, I started training when I was 16, 17. By the time I turned 18, it's like, all right, where you guys at?
Ready to go.
Nope. They turned Buddhists. They're pacifists. They turned pacifists once they realized probably that I've been training really hard to develop some skills to protect. I saw a meme the other day that I really loved. It said, jiu-jitsu is not about what you can do to someone else. It's about what you can prevent them doing to you.
I like that. I like that a lot. Damn, that's pretty deep.
And that's so important. And even like, you take a young, super strong, athletic wrestler who's just a bad dude, and then you take somebody who's not athletic but they've been training. Are they going to be able to dominate this super athletic guy? Probably not, unless they're like really skilled, unless they've been doing it for a lot of years. But they can hold that guy off. And in the real world, you don't have to be this like world beater. If somebody was to knock you down and get on top of you, or just being able to protect yourself long enough for people to break it up, that can be so valuable. It can prevent you from getting your teeth knocked out or so many horrible things. So what I want to hammer home to anybody listening is jiu-jitsu is not just for the super driven competitor. It's for lazy people like me. It's for the unathletic. It's hard. It's really, really, really hard to get good at jiu-jitsu. That's why it takes so long. You know, my jiu-jitsu sucks, and I've been doing it for more than 15 years. Okay? I'm never going to be a world champion, but that's okay. I'm also never going to stop training jiu-jitsu. It's just, you know, it's fun, and there's a community, and it's welcoming. So many of the guys who come into the gym, they are big, tough dudes, and you know, that makes sense, right? Because if you want to be a cage fighter, you're probably already pretty tough. There's probably not a lot of people out there who don't feel like they could do it, who would be crazy enough to want to voluntarily fight somebody in front of hundreds of people for very little money, if they weren't really like driven and have some confidence already. But jiu-jitsu and training mixed martial arts, not just jiu-jitsu, but it's really good for everybody. Cardio, weight loss, confidence, meet new friends, do just a healthy activity. Even if you have no plans to ever get in a street fight or ever to get in a competition, if you're thinking about training, stop thinking. Come train.
Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, train with Danny.
Peru Mall.
Yeah.
Talk about the I guess the benefits of it being so close as compared to. I mean, it's really the best gym around here within, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Yes. So yeah, Danny got his black belt from Mark Turner up in Naperville. BJJ Lab, if you look it up. It's from Ottawa. It's an hour and 15 minutes. So that's what I was driving. I was training at Ottawa. Jeff Snyder's, first of all, he deserves so much credit for building up this Ottawa martial arts scene. I started training in 2002, and he had been training fighters for, I don't know, at least probably 3 or 4 years before that. You'd have to ask him, and I'd love to hear you interview Jeff if you could get him on here.
I'd love to get Jeff on here, man.
So funny, man, and
such a pioneer too.
He had so many stories that nobody's ever heard. I'd love to hear him. And I wish Ottawa would recognize him and put him on a mural downtown, because he just trained so many people. He gave us such a great place to sharpen our skills and learn. And then when I left Ottawa, and so we're out in the middle of nowhere and nobody's ever heard of us and we're always the underdog. But every gym that I ever went to, they're like, "Where did you train?" It's like Ottawa Nautilus. Ottawa, Canada? No, Ottawa, Illinois. I've never heard of it. Yes, I know. Who trained you? Jeff Snyder. He a black belt? No. His skill, I mean, to say he's not a black belt, it doesn't mean he's not
at that level.
Like, he is a black belt breaker. Like, he will. I always had talked about people like, can you imagine Jeff in the gi with the way he has his grips? He would just rip a sleeve off of a gi. It's just so strong. And they say time catches up to everybody, but I don't know about that guy. And his dad's the same way. I trained with his father as a black belt from Pat Miletich, one of the greatest mixed martial arts trainers of all time. And then that's where Jeff learned from his father. I'd like to hear Jeff's story of how his father bridged all that information between Pat and Jeff. But I trained quite a bit with Jeff's father, and he's raised him like more serious than Jeff is, but he cracks jokes. He'll catch you off guard. They're really funny, really cool family. But so I would train at Ottawa Monday and Wednesdays, and I'm talking about 5 years ago. So I moved from Ottawa to Missouri. When I lived in Missouri, I lived at Lake of the Ozarks. I was driving an hour and 15 minutes to American Top Team in Columbia, Missouri. I trained with the black belt there, Kiko France, and it was Wade Rome's gym, but I really mostly trained with Kiko, and they're both really, really high level, like famous black belts. And then I moved to Columbia to just train more. And then I moved to Tennessee and didn't train at all for a year. And then came back to Illinois maybe 6 years ago. And at that time, I was going to actually a friend of mine, Nicholas Johnson, I don't know if he's listening, but he shared Damian Maia seminar in Naperville. I was like, Damian Maia, he's the best jiu-jitsu fighter that's ever fought in the UFC. He's in Naperville. So I go up there to the seminar. I met Mark Turner. I was like, man, these guys are super detailed. This is really, really good jiu-jitsu. So I told Danny, and then Danny and I started going up to Naperville and training with Mark. And I would learn whatever we learned on Tuesday. I would go up there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'd go up there and learn on Tuesday, and then I would come back to Ottawa and I would teach and drill everything that I learned the day before. And so it was really cool because it wasn't just like going and training 2 days a week. It was like I'm learning, and then I was drilling like double time pretty much. But then, so Danny graduated to his brown belt and his black belt from Mark. And then when Danny opened up the gym here, it's like, hey, I love going up to Mark's, but it's an hour and 15 minutes both ways, 2 hours at class. That's over 5 hours out of my day for jiu-jitsu. And that's tough. And it's not, I don't regret one minute of all the traveling, but you have really good jiu-jitsu. Danny's an excellent teacher. And I know that when he first started, Danny's always a competitor, always roller, always a hard roll, super good competitor. But I don't think he ever had much experience teaching jiu-jitsu or anything else. And to see his improvement as an instructor is incredible. He's a really, really good, detailed instructor, and you get it right here. If you live in Ottawa, it's 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, it ain't nothing.
Streeter's like, yeah, normally if he wasn't here, you would have to go an hour and 15 minutes to get good jiu-jitsu. And there's other good jiu-jitsu too. I know Danny likes to go up to 10th Planet Lombard. That's even farther. That's an hour and a half to 2 hours probably with traffic. And I know some of my Streeter friends, they go up there and train and like it a lot. But there's the training that I trained at Peoria Athletic Club, which was awesome. I trained at American Top Team, which is incredible. I got so many stories from there. And trained up at Mark Turner's BJJ lab. I trained with Zach Lennon, black belt. He's really good. The training at all these places is comparable. Like, I've been to bad gyms. I don't want to. There was this one. I don't know if I should tell this story. There was a gym that I went to. So I worked with a guy. I'll just say it. It's not around here. It's in Missouri. And I'm delivering pizzas, right? And I was training American Top Team, and I was pretty much training every day, because delivering pizzas in a college town, you make money Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, my days off were like during the week, and then that's when I was training. I was trained pretty much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And there's a guy that I work with, a coworker was telling me, I can't remember his name. We'll call him Justin. They're like, Justin's, he's a bad dude. He's an MMA fighter. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so I asked Justin, I was like, where do you train? He's like, ATT. I was like, what days do you train? And he's like, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or whatever he said. And I said, what time? I've never seen you there. And he's like, you train? I said, yeah. And he goes, ATA. And I was like, okay, so it's American Taekwondo Academy or something like that. But he said ATT. And I was like,
right,
dude, I know everybody who trains there. Or like, maybe if you go in at 6 a.m, I don't know you, but I would have seen you once in a while. But he invited me to his gym, and I went, and they were all nice people. But the technique that they showed, and you know quite a bit about jiu-jitsu. So they were showing a mount escape, and the way that they were escaping the mount. So in the mount, if you're mounted, your back's on the ground and the person's like sitting on your chest, and they can punch you really easily. It's like one of the worst you don't want to be there.
One of the worst positions. Yeah.
You want to escape. And their defense was to like put both arms straight up and do like a sit up, and then that person like magically like fell over. And I was like,
that's not how that works.
And they had us wearing MMA gloves, and the instructor's like, you can do light strikes, and I'm not going to even lightly strike someone who thinks that they can just do a sit up and do this like.
Not only that, but that's full setup for an armbar right there.
It's armbar city. It's like,
it is,
dude. So what I did, I didn't even armbar. I just like moved like both hands to the side like this, and then I just like holding them and like looking at the instructor like, you want me to do it, But it's really bad training. So there are really bad gyms, and all I'm saying is these gyms, they're very high quality gyms. You're not going to learn nonsense. You're going to learn things that work in competition. you're going to learn things that work when someone doesn't want them to work. One of the best compliments I've ever gotten, I've gotten it a couple times, is people say, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to do, but I can't stop you from doing it. It's like, thank you. I get, it's like it almost sounds like an insult if I didn't know better, but yeah, I mean, it's the techniques that you're gonna learn at Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they're gonna work. They might not work the first time you do it. A lot of it is paying attention to the details and the timing and feeling the weight. You don't want to do something in one circumstance. If a person's weight is here, it's not going to work. You got to bring their weight somewhere else to do it. So, but I'm telling you, you're going to learn a lot of the same techniques that you're going to learn at Danny's, you would learn at American Top Team, you would learn at BJJ Lab. These are all really, really, really comparable gyms. And we're so incredibly lucky to have it in our backyard. To not take advantage of it is, well, I mean, it's sad. Like, if you want to train, if you're interested in training, come train. It's you're probably gonna like it, and if not, at least good for you for trying it out, because I think everybody owes it to themselves to give it a try.
I agree with that. I always tell people that they should, especially if they got kids, like just enroll them in there. I promise you, it's going to be a good thing for them, because kids have all that energy. They just want to expend it. That's what kids are for. They're learning. They're taking things in. Put them in jiu-jitsu classes. That's like number one thing I always tell kids, especially when like the parents are having trouble controlling them. It's like, dude, that's going to teach them so much. I promise you, just putting them in there.
Yes, it teaches them so much. Not just like healthy habits of being active, but it's fun. I think jiu-jitsu is really fun, and a lot of kids they like wrestling and roughhousing with each other. And it's like, your parents don't want you doing it in the living room. It's dangerous. There's tables here, there's coffee there. So here's a big padded room where you're allowed to just roughhouse and wrestle and learn these really valuable techniques that you'll bring with you forever. And even if people, because a lot of people they quit after they get their blue belt. Like, it's like a really common, people always talk about, they call it the blue belt blues, and these guys quit, and they can give them a hard time, but it's like, if you dedicate 2 or 3 years of your life to training 2 or 3 days a week, you're developing skills that, sure, maybe 3 or 4 years from now, you're not going to be as sharp. You're not going to be like hitting the sweeps and the submissions that you would. But I believe that a lot of what you learned is going to stay with you. And if you did find yourself in a situation, you would at least know you would have these like basic fundamental principles that you can really rely on. So I don't, even if that was your goal, like, I'm going to do this for 2 years and then decide if I'm going to keep doing it, I think that'd be a really cool way to approach it.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, man. One thing I always try to harp on people is like, you don't understand like the level of skill that is encompassed over at RBJJ. Like you were saying before, there's pro fighters, there's amateur fighters that are over there. There's Danny Rodriguez, who's got all his accolades on the wall, all the medals, all the belts, and like they're like right there. Like this is the type of skill that like professional fighters go and search for to learn so they can excel. And it's like right here. It's right here. And
it's right here.
It almost feels like, because it's this smaller area, they don't take it as serious, but they absolutely should. People should be taking advantage of this 100%. And obviously people are taking interest in it because people are showing up. But man, the more interest, the better it's going to be for everybody.
Yeah, we have a really good group of dedicated students. it's really cool to see what's happening there. And some of these guys are going to move away. They're going to go to college, and that's what it's going to be. And other guys are going to stay here. And I see a lot of these guys. I really think that 5 years from now, a lot of these guys are still going to be training. Now it might be, I don't know how many, but it seems like if you get hooked on it enough to do it for a couple of years, there's a really good chance. When I look back at a lot of the guys who I trained with, like Christian Newman and Adam and Ray had been doing it for a long time, and Tommy's been doing it forever, and Danny, a lot of it's kind of started back in the same time, the early 2000s, and a lot of us are still doing it. It's really cool, and this area just has a history of it, and this new generation of young guys, I see them training forever. I think we got lifers here, and if we didn't have good training and a good, clean, safe environment to train, you wouldn't have lifers. You'd have people get hurt, they get injured from bad training partners, you're never going to come back again. This is a professional outfit over there, and I can't recommend it enough, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. I get to substitute teach there when Danny will message me, and I love substitute. That's like my favorite thing. If I'm at work and I get a text from Danny, he's like, "Hey, can you teach class tonight?" I'm like dopamine. I'm like, yes, I love
dopamine central.
I
Got
love
it.
Yeah, I love to teach all the details and to make sure that everybody's doing everything, that everybody gets it. And yeah, I want more people to learn jiu-jitsu. So
Hell yeah, man. And it's like you were saying, it's so fun to compete and to learn and to test yourself. Like as humans, we need to test ourselves. It's the whole reason we're alive. We need to test ourselves, get better, test ourselves, get better, get better and better. And that's definitely a great way to do it. And it's not only jiu-jitsu that you guys do out there too. There's also kickboxing classes. There's MMA training days. There's sparring days. If you want to get punched in the face.
exactly. And if you want to fight, you have to spar hard. Like that's another thing. I'll just go back and give Jeff more praise. Is we sparred hard. Kickboxing. It wasn't sparring, it was just fighting. Like we would just fight a couple days a week. And but we also did a lot of light sparring where like I only sparred light for probably 4 months before I ever put headgear on and sparred hard. And that light sparring where you're not trying to crack somebody. You might touch them with the glove, but you know how it's like you're hitting them with the padding. You're not trying to put your fist through the padding. But to be able to it's hard to teach people distance, it's like you have to kind of move around with somebody and then you can see when. So like if I put a washer with a string on it and dangled it, somebody like Luke or me or Danny, we could, and probably you, because you're a good striker. I saw you do a kickboxing match. You know exactly how close. You know exactly how close you need to be for you to be able to reach out and touch that washer. And your accuracy is incredible too, because like the chains that hang down from like a ceiling fan. It's like I walk by those like all the time in my house. I'm like, bah! Like,
dude, I do the same thing.
and to be, it's like you have this distance. Like your brain knows how far away something is, and I think that light sparring and movement, and to be able to see what a person's body looks like when they're getting ready to throw a punch and how you're going to react to it. I see a lot of value in the light sparring, but Jeff also, he didn't make us, but he's like, if you're going to fight, you're going to have to spar. And when you get clocked, something's inside of you is like, you want to clock the person back and kind of get even. And that becomes this fight. And Jeff was okay with letting that
Happen.
unfold and not be like, whoa, slow down, slow down. No, it was, and so you need that. And so at RBJJ, we're coming from that background. Now, I don't go to the MMA classes, but the guys who's running it, they've been involved in mixed martial arts, and they've had fights. They know what it takes to get you ready to go, because a jiu-jitsu match, I tell anybody, every single person who's ever said, do you think I should compete? I'm thinking of, yes, 100%. If you go out there and lose your first match, I guarantee you're going to learn more in that 1 5-minute match than you could in a whole year, because you might be making a mistake. Like in one of my matches, the guys who, for some reason, they weren't taking an underhook on me in a certain position. I get in a tournament, I get into a position where I'm always at, and I felt really good. The guy took an underhook, and now I'm having to fight this underhook. And it's like, I lost the match, but then I just became obsessed with never letting that happen again. And if that wouldn't have happened, how long would it have taken me to realize that I was making a super stupid mistake? That guy taught me so much in that 1 5-minute match. Yeah. And you're not going to get punched or kicked in the head or slammed. So it's like the risk is very low and the reward is very high. Whether you win or lose, you're going to have fun. You still get the butterflies and the adrenaline just from like
competition.
Yeah. So 100%. Now there's been guys who were going to take an MMA fight, and I said, I don't think you're ready. And whether they took a fight or not, it doesn't matter. But I'd be honest with people, and the guys at RBJJ, they don't want you to fight. They don't want you to represent the gym if you're not ready. And if fighting is something that you want to do, they're going to get you ready. You're going to be ready by the time you get in there. And you're going to get tough fights. So that's another thing from this area. We're the underdog, and Jeff always gave us tough fights. I think he looked out for people to be like, well, I'm not going to let Jordan in his first fight a guy who has 13 knockouts on his record. But all the fights I had, if you go on SureDog and look me up, they're all really good guys. They're all really good, and they're all better than me in some ways. But that's the fight. It's like, you're not going in there to be a bully. You're going in there to fight a professional fighter. You're going in there to fight a real deal fighter. That's what it's all about. You want to fight the good guys. And these guys, if you train and dedicate yourself, they'll get you ready. They know what they're doing over here in Peru.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
So let me go ahead. I had to go back to the other example of a bad gym, right? So my friend Justin, we'll call him, he takes a cage fight. I go watch it, and he got kicked in the jaw. He got his jaw broken. Okay, and afterwards he was really down on himself. But I told him it takes so much courage. So a lot of people can watch it on TV and be like, "Oh, I do this, I do that," and
it's a totally different story when you're in
totally
there.
different. A lot of guys are good in the gym. Super black belt. What is this show rated? How bad could I say something?
X as fuck.
so this guy Dustin Denny's, at the time he's a 4th degree black belt. He's a 5th degree black belt. Fought in Bellator. He fought in Japan. He's one of the founding team members of American Top Team. He's trained under Carlson Gracie's Brazilian Top Team with Murilo Bustamante and Ricardo Arona and the Nogueira brothers. Like, just the list of the most like revered Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters of all time. This Dustin Denny's American. He was in there living immersed in that. And I'm so lucky I got to train with him for the couple of years that I got to train with him. in Columbia, Missouri, at American Top Team. But he told me, he said some guys are good at the gym, but when they go to fight, this happens. That's their butthole puckering because they know they're going to get fucked. So these guys are good in the gym. These guys are good at the gym, and then they go to where it's really going to matter, where it's really going to count, and they freeze up, and they're overcome by fear and everything else. And so I told this guy, Justin, I said, hey, be proud of yourself. Lift your head up. You did something that most people will never do. So when he invited me out with his teammates to watch Frank Mir fight Brock Lesnar in their first match. And we're at Hooters. And his instructor, who was teaching the mount escape like this, his instructor's there. And his instructor was one of these like stereotypical fans who, why don't he use the hook? I'd knock him out with the hook, or, like whatever he's saying. And it's like, no, dude, like these are professional fighters. They know what they're doing. They know how to throw a hook, man.
Right. So
one of the guys at the table said, hey, Justin, are you going to fight again? And he says, yeah, I think I'm going to fight at 170. And his instructor said something like, yeah, because we saw what happened when you fought at 185.
Wow, what a dick, dude.
So I said, what's your name? And the guy tells me his name. I knew his first name. So how do you spell your last name? So I get my phone out. I go to SureDog. SureDog has all the pro fighters. If you had a pro fight, you're on SureDog. I said, how many fights have you had? He says, I've been in over 100. He's about to say street fights, right? I said, no, 0. I said, you've had 0 fights. I said, Justin's had more fights than you. You're not on SureDog. I held my phone up. You're not on here. Did I spell your name right? I was hot. I was hot, man. I was like,
damn, dude. Giving it
so disrespectful to somebody. And it's like, Justin wasn't ready.
Cage.
Justin wasn't ready to fight. And you're his instructor. I didn't say this, but Justin wasn't ready to fight. You're his instructor. You should have known, but you don't know because you've never been there. You don't know what it takes. And at our gym, at legitimate gyms, they know what it takes. Now, like BJJ Lab, they're not an MMA gym, but Mark Turner competes all over the country and all over the world in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You can look him up on Flow Grappling. You can watch his matches against high-level black belts. You can look him up on YouTube. You see him compete. They bring in – you can't fake it anymore.
Right. For real. You can't.
That's a good thing.
That is. It's kind of like what's that Fabia dude that when he got big, I was like, what the fuck is up with this guy? You saw that video, right? Of
which
what the hell's it? Dude, I can't believe I forgot his name. Fuck, I forgot his name. I feel so fucking bad. I know Josh Fabia's name, but I don't know fucking. Wow, I fucked this up bad.
I'm sure I've seen. I've looked up. Is it like a fake? Is it like a fake kind of fighter that type guy?
No. He's a Diego Sanchez. God damn, I can't believe I forgot his name, dude.
Oh yeah.
What
a legend.
I know, dude. I feel so fucking bad. I can't believe I forgot his name. But no, he had a coach come in.
Oh yeah.
That didn't know jack shit. It's obvious this dude doesn't know jack shit. He's talking about how like he taught Diego like a 1-inch kill punch or some shit. And so like the Nevada State Athletic Commission had to come in and like see what the punch was. And then Josh was like, well, I can't show it to you. It's some fucking dumb shit like that. Like, how the fuck did this dude even get there? But that's really the last person that I've seen that's been able to like being like, oh yeah, I'm this and that. But like it's so easy to spot out a fake nowadays. And it's so simple too. Like, it don't take nothing to look up techniques on YouTube and be like, oh, or even someone who, like, watches MMA, they're teaching that escape that you're talking about. It don't take nothing for them to be like, yo.
Like,
that don't seem right, bro. At all. That don't seem right at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so easy to spot them these days, and I mean, like I said, it is a great thing. It's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good thing. Like these motherfuckers were getting so much money out of like people who didn't know any better, and now it's so much harder for people like that. Unfortunately, it happened to Diego Sanchez, which I don't know how the fuck that happened because that dude's been around since the fucking
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, it's, I think with him, so remember on the Ultimate Fighter, Diego, great wrestling and great jiu-jitsu. And a brawler, like a natural brawler, just a natural fighter, a born fighter is what the guy seems like. But he was also very much into the more like meditation, and he had some things about him, like on that show, he would move his bed so he believed that his head needed to face a certain direction. I don't know if it was east or north or what it was,
Oh yeah,
but believed that like by sleeping with your head facing a certain way, it would make you recover better. And so some of these guru type people, I think some people are just more susceptible to the guru type people. And Diego has the skills with the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling, and he's doing everything he should do, but then he adds in a little sprinkle of woo-woo.
Diego.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that makes. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
and,
100%.
and what harm does it do if it puts somebody's mind to control? Like I asked Damian Maya one time a question because I get super nervous. I get like almost like crippling anxiety before a competition. And I didn't always do that. But later in life, I developed more like anxiety and things. I don't know why. And I asked Damien about it. And sometimes I'll even get it before training. Like on my way up to the gym, I'll be like, start to get these like nerves going. And I asked Damien about it. And he said that for him, he said, well, if you figure it out, let me know. And it only gets worse. So it's like,
cool.
His first UFC fight, he was nervous, but then it's like, well, if you've won and then you go back, it's like there's more pressure, and then you're fighting for a title, there's even more pressure. Now, if you lose, they're going to cut you from the UFC, is even more pressure. And it's like, it doesn't get easier. You just have to trust the technique and trust that you put in hard work and go out there. And then the funny, like the really cool thing is I'd be really nervous, but then as soon as like I step on the mat, as soon as I like shake the guy's hand, it's all away. It was the same way in my MMA fights. I was like trying to think of an excuse not to go out and fight. It's like they're calling my name, and I'm like, how do I get out of that? Like I don't need to fight this guy. As soon as you get inside the ring, as soon as you feel the mat under your feet, it's like, oh, okay, this feels like I'm used to this. I like this. This is good. This is okay. And all that nervousness, goes away. But it's it's kind of a test. Like it's a test to, there's always things that we don't want to do. You can't live your life just not doing things that you don't want to do. I don't want to go train. Well, no kidding. You want to play video games. That sounds fun. But, and like I was talking to this dedicated blue belt, Cody. I said, man, I didn't feel like coming to train today. So I'm glad I did. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I never regret coming. I never regret coming and training, but you're doing something that's really hard. You're going to be uncomfortable. There's no like comfortable position. If you're on the bottom, you're going to get smashed up. Like it's not comfortable. So it's normal to be like, I don't feel like doing that right now. But guess what? I don't feel like going to work either. You got to go to work. You
got to do it. You got to put in the time.
For children, you got to do things that you don't want to do, and then afterwards you're glad that you did it. What a great lesson.
That's discipline. That instills discipline.
It's a discipline. It's discipline. It's not even a lesson. It's discipline. But you learn from that. And then people always talk about applying what they learn in the gym to a lot of different aspects of their life. The way that, like, I don't have a strategic mind, but in jiu-jitsu, you're going to have to develop some strategy, and you can carry a lot of these things, and just the hard work and the perseverance and the grind feels hopeless, but you just keep going. And then you realize that you've been improving this whole time. You just didn't sort of realize it. There's a lot of good reasons to train. There's not a lot of good reasons not to train that I've ever heard. If anybody has a good reason not to train, I'd like to hear it.
I don't think there is one. I mean, even me not having a truck isn't a good reason. I should be out there all the time.
Yep. Well, I'm trying to think. I don't know any streeter guys coming and training right now.
Me neither.
But
all the streeter guys I know don't even live in Streeter that do train there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to piggyback off of what you were saying about the discipline and showing up and like having those nerves and showing up even though you have those nerves. Like I've always had a real hard time like talking to people. That's kind of why I got really good at being a musician. I was real shy as a kid. I hated talking to people. Like my cousins would come over and I'd hide under the bed because I don't know why I got so much anxiety. But I knew I one day that like it just clicked in my head. I'm like, dude, if I don't fix this now, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. So like I had to develop certain skills, a certain way to kind of get over that. And music was that for me. And I remember before my fight in Ottawa, I remember thinking to myself, like, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I show up and I like the closer I got, the more confident I got. And I really accredited that to the amount of times that I had to show up for a show that I didn't want to show up for. Like when I had to go and like, not only did I have to talk myself up to get the gig, now I got to go back it up. Now I got to show up and like be real good. And if I suck to the slightest, then I'm fucking down. And then I show up and I play and I'm having a good time. But I've had shows where like I showed up and everyone left because they didn't like me. They didn't like the music I was playing. They didn't like the vibe I was giving off. And and a lot of that had to do with me not knowing that I had to connect with the crowd. A lot of it had to do with me just standing up there and playing. Who the fuck wants to do that? Who wants to do that? No one wants to look at that. You want to go out and you want to have someone talk to you while they're playing or like connect with you in some way, shape, or form while they're performing. And so like I had to learn all these things. And because I did all that, when I went to the fight, I was like, all right, I'm all right. You're like, don't get me wrong, I was nervous, but like nowhere near as nervous as I probably should have been.
Yeah, I just think it's incredible to hear you say that you had like a kind of like a social anxiety or you weren't comfortable sort of like talking to people or probably talking in front of people would be really bad. And then you go and you go and you do. If talking in front of a classroom is hard, and it is hard because we've all had speech class at school, and you're sweating and their voice is shaking and they're uncomfortable and they're horrible. But imagine if you made everybody go up to the front of the class and just sing. It's so much worse. Singing in front of
it is.
Talking in front of people is bad, but singing in front of people is a million times worse than that. And so for you to go that far
I had to, man.
And then it probably makes everything else a lot easier. And it's like that I just think that's really, really cool for sure.
It was like you were saying, like crippling. Like I couldn't stand to see my aunts and uncles. Like I literally hid on my bed for a whole night while everyone, like all my family visited. I just didn't want anyone to see me. And then this is what really fucked me up. And it's like, I still get upset about it, just thinking about it. They all came into the room, looked at me hiding under my bed and started laughing and making jokes about it, saying, I need to get out here. You're being a little punk. Like literally berating the fuck out of me, dude. And I'm having this existential crisis under the bed. No shame, dude. No shame in their game. And then they all left and I was just like, fuck. Like I need to change. I don't know what I need to do. And I thought about it. I'm like, I remember thinking, and I'm real glad I thought about this as a young kid because it really helped shape me for the rest of my life, and really is the reason that I'm as good of a musician and performer that I am now. Is that I knew I needed to change that. I knew that I needed to change that. I didn't know how or what I was going to do, but I knew I needed to get over that. And the best way that I could think of to get over it was to try playing music, because literally everyone's looking at you.
Yeah.
Everyone's paying attention to you.
How
You
old
make
were
what?
you?
Uh, seven,
You were
7 or 8.
How old were you when you first played in front of like a non-family member?
I was probably like, man, I want to say like it wasn't too long after that. I think probably like a year after that. So like 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then what, you're like you're 30 now, or somewhere close.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were
I remember after that, I made it a point to go do a talent show. Like I made it. I told my mom I want to do a talent show because my buddy told me about it. It was actually Joe and John Wagner's grandma. It was her church that was hosting a talent show, and so I was like, I want to go to this talent show and do it. I told my parents, and they were like, okay, so we'll go. So my mom came with me because she knew I had super high anxiety. I went with my friends. We stayed at the grandma's house, and then the next morning, because this was a Saturday, so the Sunday morning we went and did it. And I thought I remember like just being so fucking nervous, man. I didn't want to do it. I was hiding out in the car. I didn't want to go to the service because I didn't want to see anybody. I just wanted to do the talent show, and that was it. And then when I got up there, I barely sang. It was Heard It Through the Grapevine. I did that song, but like
Oh,
I remember playing
fantastic.
it.
What a great song.
Oh, it is. It was. I got it from the California Raisins. I don't know if you remember that movie or not.
Oh, dude. I still
Yeah.
have California Raisins Christmas album on my I delete it every year because I
Get the
don't want it
fuck
to, like,
out of here
I don't
for
want it
real.
to random I don't want it to random play like when I have it on shuffle in June when I'm driving down the road, But every December I re-download that album. I love the California Raisins, man. I and the claymation
Yeah.
I was just glued to the TV. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And the musicians,
Yeah.
world class.
It's such an underrated movie. Like no one ever
Yeah.
talks about it when they talk about like these kids movies or musicals or anything like that. No one
Well,
ever talks about it.
Most kids' music sucks.
Yeah, yeah. And this
I
was
mean,
like great.
obviously not
This
for
is like classic
like
music,
this
and like
was
that. Dude, it was perfect. And I remember watching that and at first being like kind of creeped out because they were claymation and I was a kid. And then like the longer the movie went, the more I was just like, damn, this is really cool. And then the characters not only did they look cool, but they were written well. And like just the performances were just like they were so smooth and slick and dancing on stage. And like, I mean, you didn't think about it then, but like the effort and amount of hours that they put in just to put that together and film it all was, man, that movie should be appreciated much, much more than it is.
Hey, I was just thinking, since we're like on the subject of music, and also jujitsu, I was thinking, this was pretty recently. I was thinking about okay, so there's like a G major. I was thinking a G major because I was thinking about like there's all these different guards. You have full guard, where your legs are wrapped around a person above their hips, right?
Full
And
guard, half guard,
it's like a fundamental. It's a very fundamental position, just like that G major, the G7 chord, the G minor, the G sharp. This is going to be the lasso guard. This is going to be the spider guard. This is going to be butterfly. This is variations that come from closed guard. Okay. Now, what comes after G? Most music, Western music that I play or that probably you play, 1-4-5 is a really, really common as far as like the Nashville charts go.
Yeah, yeah.
So if the G is the one, what's the fourth? C. So what's C? So if the G is the closed guard, maybe C is that sweep into mount, and now and so these positions, and then D, so you can go from the mount to the back, and so you can go from closed guard to the mount to the back, just like a G, C, D
Get the
in a
fuck
song,
out of here, dude.
right? And
That's dope as fuck.
all these positions have the sharps and the minors and the minor sevens and everything. And I guess what I'm saying is jiu-jitsu is like there a lot of for some I don't it's not like all my musician friends are into jiu-jitsu, but it's like I just see a lot of it's an art. It's both art and there's like a fundamental philosophy that you can kind of see.
Yeah, that's actually really cool, dude. that's the first time I've ever heard those referenced together in that fashion.
And I think I came to that. I think I came to that independently, but I don't know. I could have heard it on a Joe Rogan podcast or something. Who knows?
I've never heard it. I've never heard anything close to that. So I think that's Jordan Anderson all day. That's gentle Jordan G major.
I'll take it until I'm proven someone else came up with it first.
You should literally you should come up with that, like how every position, or at least define every chord to a certain position, and then write like a kid's song. You could teach like jujitsu, a nice little song to jujitsu or to kids in jujitsu.
Honky Tonk Armbar will be the name of the album.
That's amazing, dude. I think I don't know if we're gonna get a better send off than that. I think we should.
That might be it. I have to add one more thing to anybody.
Go ahead, man.
For anybody listening, you mentioned Mr. Hydration, and I give you a free. It'll be 1 hour. It'll be a little bit more than 1 hour. Free private jiu-jitsu lesson. If you come and sign up, come to Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, do a free class, decide if you like it or not, sign up. When you sign up, mention Mr. Hydration. We'll schedule a private lesson with me. Usually I charge $40 for private, being a purple belt. And nobody's ever just had one private with me. I really like doing lessons. People see enough value in it to do multiples. We'll do it at the gym. We'll schedule a time. If you're like a friend of mine or something, or you're comfortable coming over to my house, I have mats here in my garage. Now the it's kind of cold today, but where the fuck did that come from? I have a really nice area. I don't have a lot of space, but I have enough space for a couple people to come, and so we'll get you a free private with me for Mr. Hydration.
Whoop, whoop. That's right. Mention Mr. Hydration. Get a free lesson with Gentle Jordan himself. And make sure before you do that, you go to Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the Peru Mall. Get yourself a free lesson there. That's two free lessons in a row you can get in Jiu-Jitsu from some of the best around easily within an hour and some change. Thank you so much for coming on, Gentle man. Jordan. Do you have any shout outs you want to give, social media you want people to follow you on, et cetera, et cetera?
No, for anybody, any streeter people, and I hope you might have a gig on June 18th, Saturday from 6 to 9 o'clock. My country western band's playing at the Moose Lodge for my buddy Joe Avon's birthday. So come out and buy him a beer. And what?
In town?
Yeah,
Streeter?
Yeah, Moose Lodge streeter.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, if I don't got a gig that day, I'm going.
Yeah, and being a Saturday, you might. But if you happen to have an offer, if you have a later, if you have like a 9 or 10, stop by. We'll be playing at 6 o'clock. So nice. We'll see you there. And I hope to meet, 100 people. I hope I give 100 free private lessons in the next couple months. I hope that. But I'll be really happy. I'd be really happy for one from the show. And man, you're really good at interviewing, and I look forward to hearing more guests. You do a really great job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, you know what? I got to get Jeff on here now. I got to get him on here now.
I would love it, dude. And yeah, him and his father, they're just really, really cool people. Jeff, yeah, I hope that happens.
I think it will. I think it will. I got hope. I got hope and faith. I think it will. And also, tell your homie Manny to answer my message, my DM. I sent him a message and asked him if he wanted to come on here. I really want
Oh,
to get him on here.
I'm sure he didn't get it. He didn't. We had
Well,
band practice last
it's
night.
it's probably in the extra file. You know what I'm talking
Yep.
about? How like you have your regular messages from people you're friends with, and
Yep.
then you got that extra file where like you never check because I never
Yep.
check that shit.
Yep. I
But I'm
will.
probably in there.
Yeah, dude. Man will definitely come on. He's a really cool dude, and he's like you. He's been singing since he was a young guy. So hey, yeah, you guys will have fun talking together.
Awesome, man. All right, thank you so much for coming on
All
here,
right,
Gentle
man.
Jordan.
Thank you.
I
Have
appreciate
a
you,
good
bro.
one. See ya.
All right, you too, brother. That was Gentle Jordan Anderson from originally from Streeter, currently in Utica, also teaching lessons over at Rodriguez Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Make sure you check out RBJJ at the Peru Mall in Illinois, duh. At the Peru Mall. I'm telling you, I mean, I know I harp it. I know I've said it like 100 times, but I mean it. The only reason I'm saying is because I mean it. It's high quality teaching you're going to get over there. High quality lessons you're going to get from very, very well accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioners, MMA practitioners, kickboxing, etc., etc. Make sure you bring your kids as well. Your first class is free. And if you mention Mr. Hydration, you get yourself a second class free from Jordan Anderson himself. All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Mr. Hydration, your host. You guys are awesome. You guys are cool, slick. Stay hydrated. All right. I'm outie.